Alicia's friend tells me she died here at the hospital a day after she went into cardiac arrest earlier this week. Those who love her say they're still in shock. A local cardiologist tells me it's important to always be aware of any risk.
She had a contagious smile and made everybody so happy around her.
To know Alicia Groblinghoff was to love her.
She was an amazing human being, a humanitarian.
Her friend and boss of 30 years, Michelle Morgan, shared everything she'll miss just days after the 46-year-old suddenly died.
Suddenly, without warning, collapsed at the gym and suffered a massive cardiac arrest.
Morgan says Alicia had no history of heart issues. She's one of several who have died of cardiac arrest in the last week here in Las Vegas.
What we emphasize here is trying to mitigate risk.
Cardiologist Dr. Alfred Danielin says no matter your age or health, it's important to get your heart checked for things like congenital defects, coronary artery disease, electrical problems, or issues related to COVID-19, including myocarditis.
Yes, we did see incidents. It was a little higher with the vaccine, but again, this was self-limited. Nobody had long-term sequelae from this.
Morgan says she's still in shock that this could happen to someone with so much life ahead of them.
We never think that we're going to leave work on Friday and not come back on Monday.
And she hopes Alicia's story can live on for everyone who loved her.
She was a beautiful human being, and this should not have happened.
Now, Michelle says Alicia's family does not know what caused her cardiac arrest at this time. She did start a GoFundMe to help her family with medical expenses and funeral expenses. We have more information on our website, 8newsnow.com, if you'd like to help. Reporting live tonight, Sasha Loftus, 8 News Now.
A family is grappling with an unimaginable tragedy tonight. A pregnant mother shot and killed just days before she was due to deliver a baby boy. Right now, that newborn is clinging to life. WCCO's David Schuman spoke with the victim's mother, now pleading for prayers to help her grandson survive.
The grief of losing her daughter is nearly crushing Katina O'Neill. The death of her newborn grandson would be too much to bear.
I need him to pull through this. I want him to. I can't lose both of them, not right now. No.
Police say Kyla O'Neill was shot Sunday in the parking lot of the Amazon warehouse in Lakeville, 3 days before her due date. Kyla died at the hospital, but doctors successfully delivered her son, named Messiah.
He lost a lot of oxygen to the brain, so therefore he have no brain functioning right now. I'm holding on to faith. I'm praying. You know, God got the last word, and so hopefully he give him to me.
Messiah and his 3 siblings are now without a mother who family says was driven, outspoken, and good at whatever she put her mind to.
All she ever thought about doing was making a life for her and her kids. She's looking forward to this birth.
Police say Kyla's fiance, the father of newborn Messiah and another daughter, was with her when officers responded to the 911 call.
He's been interviewed. He's been cooperating with us. He is in custody right now at the Dakota County Jail and being held on second-degree manslaughter charges.
Kyla's mother says Kyla ended the relationship hours before she died.
She didn't deserve what happened to her. She had a promising future. The hurt, the pain. And it's even harder when I look at her babies.
David Schuman, WCCO 4 News.
The suspect is expected to be charged tomorrow, which is why we're not naming him tonight. Amazon confirmed with us that he is an employee there and the company is working with police. If you or someone...
Right now at 5, a walking miracle. That's what the mother of a 14-year-old girl is saying this evening after her daughter survived after being shot several times by her teen boyfriend.
This happened over the weekend near 21st and Memorial Drive in Racine. That boy is charged as an adult.
Uba Ali sat down with the girl's mom, who tells us how her daughter is defying the odds.
She's just so proud to be alive.
Miranda Perales says her 14-year-old daughter, Jasleen Jones, is talking, walking, and smiling at Children's Wisconsin just 2 days after being shot several times.
She's still her spunky self. She can't wait to put on her makeup.
Investigators say Jasleen was shot in the head 3 times by her 14-year-old boyfriend when she tried to break up with him. They say the boyfriend admitted to shooting Jasleen in what he called a, quote, fit of rage.
I had no idea. no idea he had a gun.
Perales says her daughter dated the teen for more than a year. She never noticed any concerning signs.
I bought the kid Christmas presents, you know? I mean, you never know that type of stuff until the mask is unveiled.
This is truly domestic violence at age 14. Did you ever think that was even possible?
I did not think that was possible. I did not think that was possible just because they're kids. And I didn't think evil was in kids.
The 14-year-old is charged as an adult with attempted first-degree intentional homicide. Considering the trauma Jasleen went through,
She's a walking miracle.
her family is thankful her brain function wasn't impacted.
She's lost sight in one of her eyes, but the doctors told her she's going to be able to do everything that people with two eyes can do.
Jasleen will also have to live with several bullets lodged in her body, but she's taking the worst day of her life
God gave her the second chance.
and using it to speak up for those in violent relationships.
This is her new path, and I'm going to help her in every way possible.
In Wauwatosa, Uba Ali, TMJ4.
Also tonight, a woman robbed after rejecting a man who was hitting on her at a gas station.
And tonight, the woman's talking only with ABC 13 about this terrifying encounter. And Daniela Hurtado joins us live from the police department with her story tonight. Daniela.
Eric, Gina, this woman tells us she's thankful he only robbed her purse and not her life. This afternoon, like many others, she saw that surveillance video for the very first time of when she was robbed and relived those terrifying moments.
I was terrified. I felt like once I gave him my purse that he was still going to shoot me.
On Christmas Eve, India Simon was at a gas station near her home in the Greens Point area on Lanewick and Way Forest when she had a scary encounter with this man. Surveillance video from that night shows the man entered the convenience store and approached Simon.
And I heard him, he's calling me cute, he's hollering at me, and then I was ignoring him.
Dismissing him as she went outside to pump her gas, and the suspect is seen on video parking near her and approaching her again.
Trying to get my number. He's asking me for my number, and I'm telling him I have a boyfriend, no thank you, have a good night. And I'm pumping my gas, and he's steady, like, talking to me. He's getting closer to me, and then that's when I felt like something was wrong.
Simon says she stopped pumping gas and tried to get in her car, except the man was blocking her way. And that's when she says he demanded her purse with a gun.
I really felt like I was gonna die. I felt like he was going to shoot me because of the look in his eyes.
Tonight, she's unsure if it was all about money, considering it was the holidays, or if the suspect's ego was hurt because she turned him down. Either way, police need your help in identifying this man to get him off the streets.
Now I'm gonna move because I don't feel safe in the area at all.
The same streets that our ABC 13 neighborhood safety tracker shows has had 159 robberies in the last 12 months. It's a decrease from the last 3 years. In Houston, Daniela Hurtado, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
New at 4, we're now learning the name and seeing new images of a woman who was found beheaded in Waller County. Police say Jared James Dykes is now charged with murder after Angie Diaz was found decapitated in their home. Anayeli Ruiz is live in Waller County. Anayeli, such a disturbing story. What else are you learning?
Well, family and friends identified the victim as 21-year-old Angie Diaz. They say she's from Nicaragua. She was here working 2 jobs, helping pay for her mother's cancer treatment back at home. Now her friends and family tell us they're heartbroken that she's gone. 21-year-old Angie Diaz was described as a happy young woman full of joy. Her coworkers say she was always smiling and a very hard worker. That is why when she didn't show up to work for her shift on Wednesday, they began to worry, and their suspicions weren't wrong. Waller County Sheriff's Office found her decapitated in her home.
Portion of a body dismembered and a residence that was covered in blood. It's a gruesome scene at best.
Investigators believe her husband killed her with a kitchen knife at around 11 a.m. on Wednesday.
At this stage, we do have a confession, but it is still under further investigation.
Angie's body wasn't found until after 4 p.m. by investigators. This after the suspect's father, who lives in a nearby home on the same property, called police.
He left his residence, walked into the parents' residence, which induced them questioning where she was, and they went out back and found her.
Angie and her husband were newlyweds. They were just married in October after they met at her job where she was a cashier. But since that wedding day, her friends knew something wasn't right. They said they could tell she was sad, but they never imagined it would end like this. They say Angie leaves behind a huge void that can't be filled. Now, we know several calls were made to this home unrelated to the people involved in this case, but one call was made this week on Sunday where the suspect in this case was taken to the hospital for medical treatment. Of course, their investigation still continues, and we will follow this and bring you guys the very latest. Reporting live, Anayeli Ruiz, KHOU.
Well, the man accused of shooting and killing an A-Leaf ISD teacher over the weekend has now been arrested. Investigators believe the two met on a dating website just 1 week before that brutal murder. Fox 26's Natalie He joining us live from Sugar Land with these just horrifying details. Natalie.
Caroline, that's right. Sugar Land police tell us 28-year-old Wendy Dwan had invited her friends over to meet this new man in her life for the first time on Saturday. Then shortly after the get-together started, police say the two started arguing, and the suspect shot Wendy more than 10 times before fleeing to Louisiana. 26-year-old Sharvis Thompson was arrested Wednesday and charged with murdering 28-year-old Wendy Dwan.
They had just met face-to-face or in person on New Year's Eve, so exactly a week prior to the murder.
According to Sugar Land Police Sergeant Matt Levan, Dwan and Thompson had met on the dating site Meet Me just a week before the fatal shooting. Around 9:50 p.m. last Saturday, investigators say the two were hanging out with Dwan's friends at her home on Oxford Mills Lane in Sugar Land when they started arguing.
It had started inside the house. It kind of spilled into the backyard of the house. At that point, gunfire erupted. And our witnesses had actually left the house at that point for their own safety. She was shot multiple times, over 10 times. So very brutal, very callous murder.
Investigators say Thompson then left in his own vehicle. His car later identified by surveillance cameras nearby and tracked to Louisiana by the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force.
I just heard that her students loved her a lot. I really feel sad for them. I feel sad for the family. Hope they overcome this.
Those who knew the Boone Elementary School teacher said she was a kind and soft-spoken person who dedicated her career to helping kids and then spending her free time volunteering to feed the homeless.
But she did have a great spirit. She was very nice and a loving person.
Investigators say Thompson is expected to have an extradition hearing soon and will be transported back to the Fort Bend County Jail soon after that. We did also search his records and found out that Thompson does have a criminal past. In fact, he was actually out on bond for a previous family assault charge back in May. We'll have more details on that coming up at 6 o'clock on The News Edge. From now, we're live in Sugar Land. Natalie He, Fox 26 News.
A television reporter is recovering after a medical situation was caught on live television. Reporter Jessica Robb was in the field speaking with an anchor back in the studio when the episode hit.
But this is something that they've been asking for since day one.
The very articulate journalist started to confuse her words.
Now, Nariman, looking at after the day, families are pushing the feds to. Sorry, Nariman, I'm not feeling very well right now, and I'm about to.
Okay, we'll come back to me right now, and we'll make sure that, Jessica, you are doing okay. Thank you. We will make sure that Jessica is.
There's a new guest at this hotel in Royal Palm Beach.
I'm feeling comfortable and safe in here.
And Diane Thomas is enjoying every second of it.
Nice hot shower, thank God.
Because these are essentials.
And I have my nice refrigerator.
That she didn't have.
And my little munchies, my little food and stuff.
Last week.
My stuff that I live out of my car with.
We first met Diane when she was living out of her car.
I've been home for 6 months.
Due to high rental prices that she can't afford.
I do work. I work, but It's a little over my price right now, you know.
After seeing our story,
I can't explain how my feelings are right now.
an anonymous donor stepped in, paying for Diane to stay here temporarily.
Somebody saw your story and wanted to help. How are you feeling?
For these couple of days, I promise you, I have felt better than I have felt in the last 6 months.
Tell me again what it felt like to be able to sleep in a bed for the first time since July.
I slept for 2 days. You know, I slept for 2 days. Oh, son, I took a hot shower. Who helping anybody out here no more? But it's still good people out here.
In a series of emails, our Good Samaritan said on top of paying for the hotel stay, quote, I have been working with my cousin who is a real estate broker in finding a place for Miss Diane Thomas.
Got an apartment to look at 1 and 1 at 1:30 today. Just keep our finger crossed. Because I've been looking at apartments, but like I keep paying the money that I don't have for the application fees can be up to $175 just for tell you no, I found somebody with a higher income.
New research from Florida Atlantic University released this week found that an abundance of short-term vacation rentals and restrictions from HOAs and condominiums are contributing to the ongoing rental crisis in South Florida.
Both of those take units out, they drive up the average rent. But we have to build more units. We're not building anywhere near the number of units that we need for the amount of people that are coming in.
And for longtime Florida residents like Diane,
what's the next step's going to be?
It's pricing them out.
I'm really in a situation right now. So I need help. And I thank y'all for everything.
In Royal Palm Beach, I'm Jessica Bruno, WPTV.
Now to this, a tragedy on top of Mount Baldy. A mother of 4 and a very experienced hiker has died sliding 700 feet down the mountain to her death.
Well, Mount Baldy, officially known as Mount San Antonio, is the tallest peak in the San Gabriels, rising 10,000 feet and attracting hikers from all over Southern California. KCAL News reporter Nicole Comstock is live in Covina tonight, where Crystal Gonzalez lived, with more on her treacherous climb. Nicole?
Well, this woman's family did not want to speak with us on camera tonight, but they told us that safety while hiking really did mean everything to their mother, and that ultimately you can't control Mother Nature.
It's go time.
She was known by her friends and family as the hiking queen.
Lots of people out today.
And Crystal Paula Gonzalez was documenting her most recent hike up Mount Baldy on Facebook.
This is a perfect visual of what we've been dealing with.
Detailing the dangerous conditions as an uncontrollable column of ice rolls downhill right past her.
I mean, all of a sudden, the whole side will come down.
It was so unsafe that Crystal decided to turn back. But at some point out at Baldy Bowl this Sunday, the mother of 4 slipped and fell 500 to 700 feet down the notoriously difficult mountain terrain and hit a tree.
It was a terrible situation, but we were able to see some of the best of humanity also, where the bystanders were helping out.
San Bernardino County rescue medic Eric Rose says they couldn't use a hoist rescue to rush Crystal to a hospital because by the time they rappelled down onto the snow, the cloud ceiling had already moved down too low for the helicopter.
The slope angle and the ice and everything, it makes it too dangerous to hike, so we actually had to build a rope system and lower her down.
Crystal died on this mountain. A hiker who was so experienced that she previously summited Mount Whitney, the highest trail in the United States. Her daughter sent us a written statement saying in part, "Our mother was a kind, loving, lively soul. She had a thirst for adventure that she instilled in all of us during our childhood. She inspired those that met her on the trails. She loved life, and life loved her back."
Just keep climbing.
In the winter months, they have to perform 3 to 4 rescues per weekend near Mount Baldy. That people don't realize the dangers of the extreme alpine conditions right here in Southern California. And Crystal's family is now raising money for her funeral expenses online. They'd like to thank the community for an absolute outpouring of support. Reporting live in Covina, I'm Nicole Comstock.
Philadelphia PhD candidate with no prior run-ins with the law is behind bars for a 7th night tonight after a mistake from Texas police. Well, tonight her family is demanding answers. Matt Petrillo has more.
This Philadelphia jail on State Road near the city's Holmesburg section is where Julie Hudson has been detained after facing a robbery charge police in Webster, Texas now admit she never committed.
This is a tragic thing that happened to her and our family with this situation.
Her sister tells me 31-year-old Hudson was recently applying for a job when she learned of an arrest warrant out for her. So Hudson went to the Philadelphia Police 14th District in Germantown to clear her name.
My sister went there like, hey, what's going on? We need to fix the situation. What do you need me to do? What do you need me to give you? And at that point, Philadelphia was like, we have to arrest you because Texas had warrants out for you. And the nightmare began.
Has your sister ever been in the state of Texas?
She has never been in the state of Texas. Julie haven't caught a plane in years.
This is a photo of the suspect police in Webster, Texas had been looking for. Hudson's family says that's not their sister.
Julie is a loving person. She hasn't had any run-ins with the law.
The Webster police chief tells me the robbery charge has been dropped and that he sent the release paperwork to Philadelphia law enforcement officials on Tuesday.
You're presumed innocent until proven guilty. In this case, what I'm learning is pretty much you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent.
And Hudson's family also tells me they are hopeful she'll be released sometime on Thursday. I'm at Petroleum.
She had bruises, she's got a broken collarbone, and she needs some help. She needs help finding the man who caused her injuries and nearly killed her. She was driving to work earlier this week when she crossed paths with the kind of person that we all dread to see out there on the roads. This woman tells Fox 13's Kaylee Tracy it was a case of road rage, and the man behind it is still out there on our roads.
Every time I see the picture, it almost makes me break down.
22-year-old Caitlin Conchiglia says she's lucky to be alive.
Me and the other car involved could have easily went over that overpass.
She was driving to work around 6 o'clock Tuesday evening when she says a champagne-colored SUV started tailgating her. It happened as she approached the overpass near 73rd Street North and Tyrone Boulevard North.
I had slowed down a little bit and just to try and get him to go into the other lane. And so then he got over into the right lane and looked over at me and forced me into oncoming traffic, slid into me, pushing me over the median over into oncoming traffic, where then I got hit by an SUV.
Her car spun around, and the driver she describes as a bearded man in his 30s to 40s drove off. Conchiglia managed to get out of her car and flagged someone down to call 911.
I was like, I need help. I don't have my phone.
Conchiglia spent the night in Bayfront Health's trauma center. She has burns from the airbag, bruises, swelling, a broken collarbone, and doctors are monitoring her for possible internal injuries. Despite it all, she saw enough to get a pretty good description of the car that caused all her pain.
It has a light bar on it, which he used when he was behind me, turned it on and was trying to get me to get out of his way. And it's lifted. It has black tires and black rims. And it's the rims the tires kind of stick out a little bit on the side as well.
St. Pete police say they are investigating the hit and run and confirm there are 2 victims, Conchiglia and the driver of the car she collided with in oncoming traffic. The second victim has not been identified and their condition is unknown. Police say they can't release any more details because it's an active investigation. Kaylee Tracy, Fox 13 News.
Yeah, if you have any information.
Police have arrested and charged a third man in connection with the death of Aliana Lenoir. The 24-year-old woman disappeared last July.
This is new details in a criminal indictment reveal more about how investigators believe she died. Fox 5's Joy Duke spoke with Lenoir's mother, and she has the story.
Atlanta police confirmed that third suspect, Nicholas Hendrickson, was arrested and charged for his role in the alleged murder and cover-up. Arrest documents and an indictment obtained by Fox 5 reveal new information about how investigators believe Alania died. A 13-count indictment handed down by a Fulton County grand jury names 3 men in connection with the death of 24-year-old Alania Lenoir, the woman last seen at this Midtown apartment complex in late July. Atlanta police say these 2 men, Stephen Abate and Deontay Reynolds face a number of charges, including felony murder. And now a third suspect, Nicholas Hendrickson, has been charged for his role in helping them dispose of her body. Lenoir's mother, Jeanette Jackson, tells Fox 5 she was somewhat relieved to learn about the arrest, but not surprised there was more to the story.
I'm not shocked because it never felt like, oh, an accident or, oh, you know. It never felt like that to me.
According to Fulton County court documents, Abate and Reynolds provided Lenoir with opiates that night inside the apartment. Investigators believe when she showed signs she was in need of medical attention, the two men avoided calling 911 in an effort to cover it up. The indictment goes on to say Reynolds secured a lease on that apartment using a fake name and identity.
Now you're backtracking, trying to say she did this to herself. Well, I'm going to say to you, if she did, then why are you guys running? Why is there a fugitive? Why won't you tell the police where she is?
The court documents say Hendrickson helped the two men move her body and lied to investigators when asked if he'd taken a trip to Alabama on July 31st, the day of the alleged crime. Hendrickson is not facing a murder charge.
I want the same thing I wanted on July 31st. Where is she? And I deserve that. And you know what? Stephen's mother knows where Stephen is.
Jackson says while Abate is still on the run, finding her daughter's body and getting justice for Alania continue to be their family's focus. Abate has been added to APD's most wanted list. If you have any information about where he might be, give detectives a call. That's the latest here from downtown Atlanta. Joy Dukes.
Growing in magnitude tonight, more victims coming forward speaking with Eyewitness News about their confrontations. Take a look at just some of the locations where we've gotten reports of almost a dozen attacks. Those attacks from an unknown man in a Tesla. The victims asked we not show their faces, with their alleged assailant still at large.
Same face, the same t-shirt, the same description of him. It was him.
Since our initial report Wednesday about an attack on the 2 freeway, a growing number of people have come forward saying they too were attacked by a mystery man in a gray Tesla. Tonight, the number now up to at least 10 known incidents. So who is he? And just how long has he been on this road rage rampage?
Before I even realized it, he had jumped out of his vehicle, swinging some sort of crowbar.
This new victim in West Hollywood says she encountered the man last March and is still in therapy after the attack.
He got out of his vehicle again, this time with a knife, and started to slash my tires.
One man sent us these dash cam photos from last May. He tells us he was confronted by the man outside a 24-hour fitness in West Covina, but he fought him off. And another victim also in West Hollywood shared this video and what happened to her and her 93-year-old mother last June.
He went into some kind of psycho mode and started screaming and motioning.
When a valet attendant stepped in, things turned physical.
And boom, he just smashes him in the face.
And one Arcadia woman ended up with this gruesome black eye. A police report outlining her confrontation in the parking lot of the Santa Anita Mall in October.
He jumped out of his vehicle and he decided to proceed and yell at me and kind of punch the car, and he then got the chance to hit me.
As the CHP investigates and tries to track down the mystery man, his victims are warning drivers tonight to stay vigilant.
We're going to go ahead now and, well, here's a look, excuse me, at the Tesla driver. If you do have any information, the CHP is asking you give them a call.
New tonight, the family of a woman shot and killed by Stockton police is now filing a lawsuit. We spoke to her daughter when the shooting first happened back in February 2022.
I feel like they wrongfully killed my mom. There were so many other ways they could have went about it.
Stockton police releasing multiple surveillance videos and body camera videos showing the moments leading up to the shooting death of 54-year-old Tracy Gaeta. This video shows an officer stopped at a red light when the driver of a gray car hit the officer's car before driving off. That led to a chase. Police say Gaeta made a U-turn on the on-ramp of I-5. Surveillance video shows Gaeta driving down a one-way and going through a red light. The pursuit ends at a dead end. A Stockton canine officer pulls in behind her, and that's when this happens. And a warning, the video you are about to see is disturbing.
19 is ramming me, he's ramming me.
Copy.
16 seconds after the officer initially opened fire on Gaeta, the body camera video shows her vehicle move forward. The officer opens fire again as Gaeta begins to drive. While attempting to turn the car around, the officer opened fire again. In total, about 30 gunshots can be heard in a span of 32 seconds.
My mother was scared, and she would never try to hurt anybody, harm anyone. So I think the officer, didn't need to use such excessive force and use his gun.
The family attorney releasing this statement saying the disregard for Tracy Gaeta's life by a member of the Stockton Police Department is shocking and outrageous. We look forward to bringing justice to her family. Miss Gaeta was not intoxicated. She was experiencing a mental health crisis. Her family is shocked she would be involved in any altercation with police, let alone be killed by police.
I would probably put pretty high odds they're going to say it was a justified shooting, and I suppose you could justify it. On the other hand, it just seems like this was unnecessary as well.
That's according to legal expert and attorney Stuart Katz. Meanwhile, the city of Stockton said in a statement it has yet to be served with the lawsuit. You can read more about this case on our website.
Tonight, though, with Pete Serratos live near the Russian River, where the storm again turned deadly. And Pete, I understand this morning dive teams found the body of a woman whose car was submerged in the floodwaters. It's just so tragic.
Yeah, very tragic indeed, Jessica. And look, we're here in Guerneville along the Russian River, like you mentioned. The rain has been coming down all day long. It's pretty heavy right now. Here along the Russian River, that water is definitely rising. And as you mentioned, that tragic incident, that happened east of us in Forestville, and really is just a reminder of how dangerous the conditions can get with these storms. This was the scene in Forestville this morning as first responders located a car stuck in floodwaters along Trenton-Hillsburg Road with a body of a driver still trapped inside. The driver has been identified as 43-year-old Daphne Fontino of Ukiah. The Sonoma County Sheriff's Department says she called 911 yesterday morning, saying her car was sinking in floodwaters.
At that point, when the caller, when she called, there was water going over the hood of her car, so she was pretty deep.
Crews immediately arrived on scene, but couldn't find any sign of her or her vehicle, and ultimately called off the search. They were able to locate her car this morning once the floodwaters receded. The drowning happened in an area known to flood. Authorities say it's a tragic reminder of the dangers of driving through flooded-out roadways.
Floodwaters on roads are very, very dangerous, and looks can be deceiving. So even a little bit of flowing water can push your car.
In nearby Guerneville, residents are once again seeing the Russian River rise toward flood stage. Erica says her home flooded during another major storm back in 2019. So she's packed and ready to go, and says it's now just a waiting game to see what's to come.
The concern for us is always the tides after, low tide, high tide. How is the fall down from all of the hills coming down after the rain?
Other residents like Steve are also prepared, but admits it's been frustrating due to the unpredictable nature of these storms.
So far, we've been lucky, but then you start to get complacent. Next thing you know, it underpredicts it, and you're on the other side of it.
Okay, let's take you back out here live to the Russian River in Guerneville. Now, I took a look at the latest numbers. Current river levels at about 4 p.m. It looks to be just a shade under 28 feet. Now, to hit flood stage, it would be 32 feet. Of course, those numbers can fluctuate as we've seen over the past week, so that's why residents are continuing to stay prepared. We're live in Guerneville. Pete Serratos.
Snow says her mother-in-law, Charlene, went to the Cape Breton Regional Hospital Emergency Department on December 30th. Snow says the 67-year-old hadn't been feeling well for a few days and arrived at the ER with intense jaw pain and flu-like symptoms.
We're pretty sure she was triaged and she waited for 7 hours, but it just became too uncomfortable for her. And she decided that she would leave and try her luck at the local outpatient clinic the next morning.
But she never made it to that clinic. Snow says her heart stopped just an hour after she returned home. Snow is clear sharing Charlene's story is about getting answers and not placing blame.
It would be reassuring for us if we knew that everything was done that could have been done. And if not, we want to know why.
Veteran ER physician Robert Martell says the community's trust in the system is eroding, especially after the recent death of Allison Holtoff, who waited 7 hours for care at an Amherst hospital.
People have to feel
that they can trust their system to care for them when they need it.
Martel adds a start to alleviating strain on emergency rooms would be revisiting the triage system.
If you were going to do triage the way I believe it should be done, the front end of that triage should be a physician with the ability to discharge an individual, order tests, etc.
In a statement, Health Minister Michelle Thompson confirms an investigation is underway into Charlene's case and assures Nova Scotians any recommendations will be acted on. Snow says she won't give up.
I'm a stay-at-home mom. I did not think I would be sitting in this chair yesterday morning advocating provincially for better health care, but I'll do it for my mother-in-law and I'll do it for my daughter who's missing her nan.
She's launched a new website encouraging Nova Scotians with similar experiences to share their stories. Sky Bryden-Blom, Global News. Tom says when his wife Allison started feeling sick on New Year's Eve, he decided to bring her to the Cumberland Regional Healthcare Center out of fear that the ambulance would take too long. He says he carried her into the car, and once they arrived, her pain started to get worse. He says his wife was scared.
I think she actually started saying that she felt like she was dying in the waiting room outside, but she kept saying it more and more. She said, I feel like I'm dying. They're going to let me die here. And I just told her, like, no, that's why I got you in the hospital.
Holthoff says he continued to tell staff her health was deteriorating.
I did go up to the nurse's station and did tell them that she told me she feels like she's dying. She's getting worse. I don't know what the response were. I don't really recall, but I don't think there was much of a response.
He and Cumberland North MLA Elizabeth Smith-McCrossan are calling for an investigation into the case.
We have a responsibility to provide the people of this province with safe and reliable, timely health care. And I am expecting for this family to receive some compassion and caring and to get some help and support.
In a statement, Health Minister Michelle Thompson calls the death a tragic loss and says Nova Scotia Health is investigating the case.
It's really important that we do a quality review to understand what happened and how do we work to ensure that it is prevented in the future.
She assures Nova Scotians they will act on what they learn from the probe. Holthoff describes his wife as someone who was always willing to lend a helping hand. The mother of three took care of everything while he was working out west, from their hobby farm to their kids and the community, through her role as Tidnish Bridge Fire and Rescue Deputy Chief.
She was always happy to help people and provide people with a safe spot. Like, we have a little hobby farm going there, which was just supposed to be, oh, just get one sheep, and then, oh, well, they're herd animals, so you need two. And then every time we brought them some to get shorn, it usually came back with an extra sheep or two. So
he's sharing her story with the hope that a case like Allison's doesn't happen again. Sky Bryden-Blom, Global News, Amherst.
Seen at best.
Sheriff Troy Guidry said Jared Dicus shared a home with his new bride that is directly behind his parents' home in the Oak Hollow subdivision. On Wednesday afternoon, Dicus went into his parents' house and said something that concerned them.
When they saw something wasn't feeling right for them, they approached the house that they were living in, and that's when they found what they found.
Guidry said Dicus' wife, Angie Diaz, was found partially dismembered in a kitchen knife is believed to be the murder weapon. Guidry said Dicus was then arrested.
We brought him back for his witness statement, and that's when he confessed to it.
The couple married last October. Waller County Judge Trey Duhan officiated the ceremony and posted a statement reading, "During my short time with them, they were a very nice young couple. As with many of you, I'm greatly saddened and shocked by the news of this tragic event."
No matter what type you walked in or what time it was or how you felt or whatever, her smile just lit up the room. It was incredible.
Diaz worked at Chepe's meat market in Taqueria.
Muy buena persona, muy inteligente.
She was a great person, intelligent and hardworking. Manager Ruth Armendariz says Diaz did also talk about her brief marriage to Dicus.
No era feliz.
No, she wasn't happy. She said he was one person before they got married and another person after, who became very jealous.
And then I was like screaming because I was just like obviously caught off guard.
A woman now living in Oceanside recounting a night out that turned into a scene from a horror movie. As ABC's 10 News reporter Michael Chen tells us, an intruder attacked her with boiling water And we should warn you, some of these images are graphic.
You have dreams of it happening again, or, you know, what could have happened.
A week later, Nicole Lucas is struggling. It started out as a joyful night celebrating her birthday. Around 1 a.m., she and her boyfriend Davis arrived at their Koreatown apartment in Los Angeles, entering through the back door. Lucas entered first.
I just remember like the shock, the hot water.
And immediately was under attack.
The person poured a pot of boiling water on my face and my chest.
Scalding water caused second and third degree burns on her face, neck, and chest.
Felt pain at first, yeah, but then once the adrenaline kicked in, I didn't really think about it.
Inside the kitchen, all the stove burners were on, and there was a man holding a large kitchen knife.
Lucas says the man swung the knife at her boyfriend. The couple ran back out and got in through another door to retrieve their 2 dogs. Eventually, Davis and a neighbor chased the intruder into an alley where he was arrested by police. The suspect had ransacked their place, leaving behind a lot of damage. As for Lucas, while her burns have started to heal,
Definitely have some scarring.
it is the mental scars she and her boyfriend call the hardest part.
Anxiety now surrounding like being alone.
Soon after the incident,
We just didn't feel safe there anymore.
she and Davis, both San Diego natives, moved to Oceanside near family and friends. Despite her injuries, Lucas is grateful.
We could have been like stabbed, or he could have had a worse weapon, but I feel like we got pretty lucky with the outcome.
Michael Chen, ABC 10 News.
That is just terrifying. Well, the suspect, identified as Gonzalo Martinez, was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon and burglary charges. A GoFundMe campaign has been set up for the couple to help with medical, living, and other expenses. There is a link on our